Yo, I can't see shit in that hallway. They really should turn on some lights.
Look at these little fucks. They're plotting something. The fall of Argentina. Anyway, time to go. So, we got our bucket, our ping pong paddle, some of these. Don't need that one. Let's take one. Okay. Some all-purpose degreaser. I don't know, I don't think so. Some turtle wax. Not today. Oh, hot shot. Yeah, we'll take some of that. There we go. Right next to the ping pong paddle. And some Rain-X. Sure. And some glass cleaner before the Rain-X, maybe. And one-stop shop all-in-one polish with wax. I might put that on. I'll take a couple more of these. That's that. Get the rest in the car. Almost forgot, I also need a bunch of quarters. Alright, let's get out of here. Somebody feeds some cats over here, so that trash can smells pretty gnarly. But, does anyone know how one of these works? Like, I don't know where to slide the card. I was thinking maybe here, but it looks too small. Alright, in all seriousness, let's get to washing. I don't even know if this thing works, honestly. Alright, here we go. Oh, that's doing something. And, oh yeah, that's nice. Alright, time to fill the bucket. Towel time. Just like that, we're all washed up, and now it's gonna rain. Welcome to Florida. The outside is done. Now it's time for some interior love. Last thing we need is some more windshield wiper fluid. Alright. Okay, we just have to get to this really easy to reach front release mechanism. It's just conveniently placed in the middle of nowhere. And there we go. Frunk is released. Yeah, I can top off my own windshield wiper fluid. What can I say? I'm a real mechanic. Is that done? Yeah, it looks about done. Alright. Well, car's all washed. It'll probably stay like this for a good 2 days, so gotta take some pictures now while we have a chance. And it's not raining yet, so I'm gonna capitalize on that. I almost forgot to apply some of this, John. I don't know if it shows up in this light, but there it is. There's the after. I don't know. Looks pretty good to me. So here's the behind the scenes of taking pictures of your car. We've just been moving it around from place to place. You know, good looking spots. Now we're by whatever that is. Looks great. Great for picture taking, I'm sure. I think that's enough for today, because I don't know, I just can't think of any more spots. And I want to start this review. So here we go. I guess we'll start from the outside. So I want to preface the whole thing by saying this is by no means a professional review. I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I didn't write down any notes or anything. Just kind of whatever comes to my mind. So this is the review of my 2011 Lotus Evora 2+2. Cue the montage. So starting with the exterior, here's some little weird stuff that kind of annoys me. The trunk does not unlock on the first try most of the time. So double click this bottom button. Okay, so you heard noises, it's unlocked, right? No, it's not. You gotta click it again. Now you hear a real pop. Now we're unlocked. There is no frunk, just whatever that small thing is, which is an access port for a couple different fluids like brake fluid and windshield wiper fluid. But honestly, other than that, the exterior is super duper solid. Right, so jumping into the interior, it does have 4 seats, which you can fit into very easily, as long as you're not shaped like a human. So yep, here we go, and great. We got plenty of leg room in here as long as you don't close the door, and plenty of headroom as long as you're okay with a really stiff neck after the drive. So in the interior, it is a supercar-ish, so I mean, there's not much leg room, but it's pretty decent. We have this giant, I don't even know what, somebody thinks it's an air duct that I know. I think it's just for support. But it definitely makes getting in and out of this car something. We'll just call it that. It's interesting. Other than that, it's really premium looking. Nice dash, stitched leather. It all looks really good. Something that definitely annoys me, or something that I'm just nitpicking on, is that these don't have mirrors. I mean, I feel like that wasn't too hard to put there if they really wanted to, but they're not there. So there we are, no mirrors there. If you want to look at yourself, use the rear view. Another thing is, there is no underarm storage, so you're left with the glove box, which, surprise, surprise, is puny. It fits my glasses and my registration, and that's about all. Other than that, for storage, if you look at the door, it has some sort of compartment, and if you stick some coins in here, they will go back there, and I guess the car uses it and dispenses exhaust, because I haven't found any of the coins I put in here. You have a little coin holder, which I use for my garage remote. And that's about all for storage. No door cards other than that. And there's one on this side. And a glove compartment. I mentioned that the back seats are miserably small. Cannot fit your head in there if you're anything over like 5'2". So, good for kids, I guess, if you're an adult and you drive this car and you have some kids. There you go. Over to the trunk. It's small enough. You can probably fit 1 to 2 24 packs, maybe a bag of cat food with it. Comes with a tire kit, just in case you get a flat, because obviously this car does not have a spare. And then an engine. The engine in this Lotus is out of a V6 Camry. Luckily for your oil changes, you use a Camry oil filter. Fun fact. Obviously it has some Lotus Tune performance and all that good stuff, which is why they make sure to badge it right there, but it's Lotus Performance. Jeremy Clarkson thinks that things sound tinny in this car, and overall, I would agree as far as the e-brake is concerned. When you pull it, it sounds a bit tinny, kind of echoes, sounds a little weird, but shift knob, it's solid. Doesn't sound tinny to me, and it's definitely much better than the mashed potato gearbox I had in the Genesis, so overall I think that's a really big plus. I've already mentioned that I think these buttons are terrible. They are not deep click buttons, so there's pretty much no response, and if you actually click the button or not, other than a very, very dim light will show up. And if you would like to see that light, get into a really dark room with no lights on, and maybe it'll show up. If your AC is on, you'll never know. Same buttons follow throughout the dash. You got your lock button, drops the glove compartment. This controls the lighting on your tack. On this side, we have a light button that does absolutely nothing because your lights are always on unless you do the DRL headlight mod, which would turn it into a daytime running lamp type of mod. Obviously your gas, traction control, which I think you should drive with off because it's way more fun. And then your master headlamp switch. So this controls your daytime running lights. If they're not on, you can turn them on there, or if you want your high beams to be always on, you would use this switch and a combination of pulling this to its second position, and that would switch it into your high beam setting to stay always on. This is the most important button of all in this car because this controls your throttle response. So it'll boost throttle response and set your rev limiter all the way up to 7,000 instead of 6,600. So always drive with sport on. Onto the tack, it's pretty simple. Your needles will do a cool little dance right as you start the car or right as you put the key in the ignition. And then you have a display of if your immobilizer is on, and that's pretty much it until you put the key in the car. So you have a really unique key on a Lotus. It looks nothing like anything I've ever seen. There's British engineering for you, trying to stand out. So you see the tack lights up, and then second position is your accessory mode. So now we have AC kicking, which is controlled by this here knob. Just turn that off for now. Other than that, you have your current miles, the temperature outside, which is a low 100 degrees, and your time of day in 24-hour increments. If we turn to position 3, the dance occurs, and your fuel pump will prime. Once your fuel pump is primed, go ahead and hit visor, which is going to be the middle Lotus button key. You can see the light turns off, and you're good to start the car. Update on the tachometer now. We have your miles per gallon, which you can change using the info button. It's displayed on your left there. So we'll go ahead and swap that. You also show your alternative speed in kilometers per hour in case you're from Britain or something. Your current trip distance, which you can reset yourself. The range you have left on the car. And back to your fuel. On this side, it'll show your tire PSI once you get driving and the temperature of your engine. This goes from 140 up to 250. Right here in this air duct is actually where the intake is, so the driver gets to hear all the throttle body noises. It sounds really cool. So here's some clips of me driving through Mexico during my quick trip down, and enjoy. Alright, so those are the only clips I got from Mexico. they weren't too happy that I was only there to film a video really quick. So they're like, oh, if you're not going to spend any money in Mexico, you got to get out of here. So I just had to leave. Something really important that I didn't note in the review is that if you're planning on buying one of these cars 2012 or earlier, so it's 10, 11, 12, the clutch master cylinder has a really, really important issue, which includes this car. It was never considered a recall because not every car had the issue, but it is really important to think about when you're buying this, is that Lotus only started making this car as its like second production car in 2010, other than the Elise and I guess the Exige, but it doesn't count, and neither does the Elan. So when they crammed a V6 Camry into this little tight body, they needed to put things places, right? So they ran all the clutch lines a little too close to the exhaust manifold, which can cause your brake fluid inside the hydraulic line of the clutch to boil, which will cause your clutch to hit the floor. Which doesn't happen all the time, but for example, when I'm driving to work and I'm in 6th gear the whole time and it's 102 degrees out right now, that will boil the brake fluid in there. And then your clutch hits the floor. You gotta pull it back up with your foot, pump it back full, and hope that you can get out of gear, or else you're gonna be at a stoplight in 6th gear. And that's pretty much the problem. So the way they get around that is, if the car is still under warranty, which it's obviously not, it's 9 years old now, or 8 years old, is they would wrap the clutch line in a heat-resistant material, which you can still have done, but it's not going to be a warranty thing because it was never a recall. So it'll cost you. And another way around it would be to replace your clutch master cylinder, which is about $350. So that's on the to-do list. I definitely don't want to be wearing out my clutch for no reason by not being able to get it out of gear or something like that. So it's just something to think about if you're like, oh, you know, if he was able to afford this car, maybe I can too. Well, it has some downsides, so just something to be aware of. And it's definitely something you can DIY, but you do have to pull the whole clamshell and wrap the line, and so I think that's the end of the review. I'm sweating because I wanted you guys to hear the little induction noises there, and I have no AC on for some reason. But I hope it was good, I guess. I hope it was informative. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.